Welcome. Good afternoon. I'm John. I'm a bookseller at Literati Bookstore in downtown Ann Arbor, Michigan. We're so pleased to welcome Ruth Behar and Devin Hallsworth in support of Tia Fortuna's new home. Just a quick webinar overview for those of you who are joining us. The chat is closed, but you can keep the chat window open as I will be sharing links to purchase the book from Literati throughout the event. In fact, I'll do so right now. There's a link for you in the chat. Live transcription is available on your toolbar if you should need it as well using the CC icon. Of course, if you're watching us later on YouTube, there are also links to purchase the book directly below me in the description. You can also subscribe to be kept up to date with all of our events once they become available on our channel. As a reminder, you can shop for more books at literatibookstore.com to have shipped to your home anywhere in the United States. And if you live in Southeast Michigan, our doors are open to the public for in-store shopping. Most of all, we'd just like to thank you for your attendance this afternoon, or early this morning, or later this evening, in Devin's case, depending on where and when in the world you may be joining us. So without further ado, I'll introduce the author and illustrator of this wonderful picture book. Ruth Behar is an acclaimed cultural anthropologist, poet, memoirist, and author of fiction for young readers. Her debut novel, Lucky Broken Girl, won the Pura Belpre Award, and her recent novel, Letters from Cuba, inspired by her grandmother's story, earned a Sidney Taylor Notable Book Distinction. She was born in Havana, Cuba, grew up in New York, has also lived and worked in Spain and Mexico, and returns often to Cuba to build cultural and literary bridges. Her honors include a MacArthur Genius Award, a John Simon Guggenheim Fellowship, a Fulbright Senior Fellowship, Distinguished Alumni Award from Wesleyan University, and a Great Immigrant Designation from the Carnegie Corporation. And joining her, illustrator Devin Hallsworth is a picture book illustrator, author, and painter. She was born in Washington, D.C., spent her childhood in Panama, surrounded by nature and her dad's art supplies, and has lived in many other places over the years. She currently lives and works in Germany along with her family. Please join me in welcoming Ruth Behar and Devin Hallsworth into your living rooms.
Thank you so much, John, and thank you, Literati Bookstore. Hi, Devin.
Hi, Ruth.
It's so good to be together to launch our book, Tia Fortuna's New Home, also in Spanish, El Nuevo Hogar de Tia Fortuna. This is so incredibly exciting. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's really exciting. Our first book event, really, right? So we can
Yeah,
get off a good start.
exactly. So amazing. So we have some fun things in store today. I'm going to read from the book, do a little story time reading, and then Devin, you're going to do a live art demo, which is so exciting.
You can song or you can just watch. We can maybe teach you something new, or it'll just be fun to watch.
Yeah, I can't wait. So I'm going to start by reading from the book. It's a book very much written from my heart, from my corazón. When I started writing it, I didn't realize that I would become a grandmother. So that's been a big transformation, and the book has a whole new meaning for me. And I was able to add a dedication to my granddaughter before the book went to press. So that's really exciting. It's a book about loving elders and about children who love their elders. It's about immigrants. It's about moving, and it's about losing a home and finding a home. So let me get going, and I will read from Tia Fortuna's New Home.
Wonderful.
Thank you. All right. And I just love the art, by the way. So staring at the art before I start reading. I I love to visit my Tia Fortuna in her little pink casita at the seaway. When my auntie was young, she lived on the other side of the sea in Havana. From her rooftop, she waved to the ships as they came into the harbor. But one day, Tia had to leave with nothing but a suitcase of old photographs and the mezuzah that hung on her doorpost and a key to a home gone forever. She felt lost and wept many tears until she found her casita at the seaway. She has lived there for years and years. Today is Tia's last day at the seaway. Why do you have to move, Tia? Bulldozers are coming to tear down the seaway. A fancy hotel will be built here. What will happen to your little pink casita? My home will be a memory. Tia touches the key on her necklace. Like the home I left in Havana, a memory. But I want to visit you at the seaway today and next Friday and always. Estrella, it's time to say goodbye and wish for Mazal Bueno. Tia gives me a hug, and her lucky eye bracelets tinkle and twinkle like these that I have here. Come, Estrella, vamos a saludar la playa. The beach wants to greet you. We kick off our sandals and breathe in the salty air. Look at that bright blue sky. The sun gives everyone its light for free. El sol, el sol, el sol. The sea roars all night, and now it's tickling our feet. El mar, el mar, el mar. Tia sinks down into the sand. What a pretty casita you're making, she says. How can Tia be happy on such a sad day? Tomorrow the sandcastle will be gone, and so will we. It's not mañana yet, Estrella. Let's enjoy today. When we get back to the seaway, Tia serves me warm borrecas. How do you make borrecas taste so delicious, Tia? I'll tell you my secret. I fill them with potatoes and cheese and esperanza. How can borrecas be filled with hope? Because they are the food of your grandfather's grandfather's grandfathers and your grandmother's grandmother's grandmothers. They took them from Spain to Turkey to Cuba. Now we eat them here in Miami. Tia smiles. We come from people who found hope wherever they went. Esperanza, 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 I say aloud, and I help Tia pack a box with the rest of the borrecas. Is that all you're bringing with you? I ask. I don't need much, she replies. I have so many memories in my suitcase right here. And she points to her head. Mommy arrives and she's in a rush. Wait, Tia says, I need my good luck mezuzah. But Tia's mezuzah is so crusted with sea salt, it won't budge. Finally, Tia asks, Mezuzah, would you please come with me? And it pops out. Tia locks the door and slips the big brass key in her pocket. Goodbye, Mis Palmeras, goodbye, she whispers. Palm trees swooshing answer her, Adios, adios, adios. We leave the sea behind and drive toward the banyan trees and the butterflies. At the front gate, I feel Tia's hand tremble. Tia, where are we? La casa de los viejitos, Tia says. She leans against a banyan tree and runs her hand along its rooty trunk. Hello, glad to meet you. You've been here a while, haven't you? The banyan tree nods its head at Tia and says, Hola, hola, hola. We step inside and Tia says, let's share the borrecas with everyone we meet. Soon they're all saying thank you. Thanks, arigato, adank, obrigado, shukran, gracias, merci, toda. You're welcome, Tia replies and makes new friends right away. The lady next door to Tia's room hears us speaking Spanish. I once lived by the port of Havana and waved to the ships, she says. So did I, Tia tells her. I'm glad we'll be neighbors. They laugh together like old friends. Mommy carries in Tia's suitcase. I help nail the salty mezuzah to the new doorpost. I arrange Tia's pillows on her bed. Here's a good place for your photo albums, I say to Tia. Gracias, Estrellita. It's starting to feel so cozy already, Tia says. She gives me a hug, and her lucky eye bracelets tinkle and twinkle. And there's a few more pages, but I'm going to stop there so that you'll get the book and find out how it ends. And now we can move to Devin's
Hi.
live drawing. Oh my gosh.
So, speaking of keys, we can pretend that one of these is the key to the Seaway. But this is the key from the art. You can see here. And we can try to draw some of these keys. And we can just use a regular pencil and paper. I'm using my sketchbook, and I have a very soft pencil, which I really like. They get messy, but they're really nice. And the way I would start, I did the book with paint, but I always have some sketches first, either on my iPad or with pencil. And what I like to do is put what I'm going to draw in front of me, and then I look at the shapes. I think I'll use this key. This is a good one. And I look at the basic shapes of what I'm going to draw. And this one's pretty simple. It's just a kind of an oval and a straight line, and then a little rectangle on the end. So that's what I'll start with. And you can use the tip of the pencil when you want to be very fine, or you can use the side of the pencil when you want to have a nice soft line. You just draw your rectangle, long rectangle. And draw another one here. And yeah, I looked through all kinds of pictures of keys, Ruth, when I was trying to come up with what it should look like.
So interesting. I love it.
And I was thinking about, well, when did this key come about? What year would it have been in? And would it have been really old, or would it have looked old? What size would it be? And how would it feel in Estrella's hand also, and on when she's wearing it? So then I'm just adding some lines. I see a circle here. So I'm going to add that little detail with just a circle, like so. And then here's our big oval. It's just a shape. That's all. You don't have to make it more complicated. Just think of a shape like an oval, like a bean. And you just draw your little shape, nice short strokes, because you can always erase it. There's no mistakes. And then I'm going to draw these little curls here. it's nice when keys have some personality. I do miss that with the modern keys. They don't really have that decorative detail.
That's so true.
This makes it quite personal. So you can fill in as much as you like or leave it how it is. You could use color. You could just draw a house key. You could draw a key from the 1950s, which this is from Germany, from a cabinet. The only thing left of the cabinet, actually. And we could use a nice yellow, like the brass key from Tia's place.
Yeah.
And yeah, we could just do one more. It shows up. Yellow's a little bit. I have all of these colors to pick from in front of me. And then this is my funny squidgy eraser, which is quite lovely. And it works as a like a little stress ball or relaxation tool when you want to squeeze it. But yeah, here, this is a little bit darker.
I have a question for both of you. And I'll also take this opportunity to remind all our viewers they can submit any questions that they have for Devin or Ruth using the Q&A. But hearing you talk about, this drawing process and also all the sort of ideas that went into the book, Devin, I'm wondering if, what if there's a lot of research that goes into a project like this, to sort of get, there's a one beautiful 2-page spread of all of the belongings that Tia Fortuna is packing up to leave. And there's so many cool, beautiful, intricately illustrated items there. And I'm wondering if there's a collaborative process with Ruth to sort of get the accuracy of some of the objects that Tia would have, or what her house would look like, the trees that we see. And curious to know what how an illustrator works with an author to make the story come to life in a way that is also sort of accurate to in this case, like a very historically rooted story.
Yeah, in this case, the research was very important, not only from maybe what you'd find historically, but also from Ruth's perspective. And I was so happy she was willing to give me all kinds of information. She sent pictures of some of her own things that she had, I think from links from travel sites too, of places that she'd been that were historically significant. And I really get into the research. So I had folders and folders of stuff. And when I feel like my head was full enough, then I could pick what I'd like to bring that sort of richness to the art. And that spread was so challenging because, let me see if I can find it here, because it was, I needed a good balance of personal items from Tia, things that she would have brought with her through her travels, all the way from Cuba. And then also maybe some things that she, had memories that she had made with her family in Miami. And and all of those, I wanted to have a nice selection of them. And the spread really did take a long time. It went through many versions where I was, drawing little things. These are little tiny rings, for instance, that I found on Pinterest, and I thought they were just so gorgeous. Also seashells and maybe some old money, things that have that richness because they're things that we touch in our everyday lives, letters and that sort of thing. And then Tia Fortuna is always wearing her lucky eye bracelet. So this was also another thing that Ruth told me about that was really important to have in the art. And then we have more lucky eyes here. So yeah, that's a good question. It's very, very important to do that research.
Absolutely. And I mean, you were great about responding to some of the things that I thought were important. Like Tia Fortuna couldn't just wear one lucky eye bracelet; she had to wear several. Because I mean, I do myself, but mostly because I see the older Sephardic ladies in Miami, they all wear many bracelets, and I said, no, no, she can't just have one; she's got to have many. And so just little details like that. But also those you just showed it in the spread, the beautiful embroidered pillows too.
Yeah.
That actually I have a lot of them in my house, and I just thought Tia Fortuna should have them as well. These pillows that have words embroidered in Spanish, I just really love them. So just to have Spanish words around me all the time, and you brought those in so beautifully, like this collage on that page is so beautiful. And you're right. I mean, for me, those symbols are so important. They're not just objects, they're
Mhm.
just loaded with stories and memories.
Right. Yeah. Yep. And it is interesting to think of what she brings with her and what do we really need, when you're moving from one place to another, and she just has all of her meaningful items here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so well said. Yeah.
We do have a
Yeah.
question from the audience, and thank you both. It's so cool to learn about that, how you both work together, and how much work goes into a spread like that, which is really the kind of spread in a picture book that I love, where you can just you want to stop and sort of take it all in before moving on with the story. James asks, how much of this story is based on folklore and or oral traditions? How much of the story is informed by Ruth's own family? Gracias.
Oh, thank you for that question. I guess I'll start answering, Devin, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely very much based on my family history. I wanted to in some way represent Sephardic Jewish people who aren't represented very often in literature in general, and definitely not in children's literature very much. So I had that in mind, and I know it's a very particular community, Sephardic Jews from Cuba. This is a very small community in the scheme of things, but they have such an interesting culture, and it's my culture as well, from my father's side. And, as I describe in my author's note, it was very mysterious to me as a child, and also very magical, this culture, because I didn't know that much about it. But, the times that I was in it, for family holidays and Jewish holidays, it always seemed so fascinating. But nobody ever really explained to me, like, this is Sephardic culture, we just sort of lived it. And I picked up a lot on the folklore, as the question says, the belief in the lucky eye, as one of the folkloric beliefs of the community. The importance of the food, especially the borrecas, came up often, and my grandmother would make them as well. So I did want to bring all of that history, that folklore. The legend of the key is very much a Sephardic thing. Sephardic Jews say that their ancestors took the keys to their houses in Spain with them when they were expelled from the country. And so that always seemed very striking to me, the idea of the key. And the key is such an incredibly rich symbol in so many ways. And it's a Sephardic symbol, but it's also very much a universal symbol. So I think I was just kind of playing with the things that seemed to me very much a part of Sephardic culture, the language. We see Tia Fortuna speaking Spanish, but she's also speaking Ladino. She's saying things like mazal bueno. If you know the expression, it's mazel tov is usually the Jewish expression. But in Ladino, it's mixed, the Hebrew with the Spanish, and it's mazal bueno. So So all of these things that are part of the culture, I did want to share them, put them out there so that kids could learn about this interesting culture, but also find a way for so many others, hopefully, to connect around themes and topics and symbols that are very universal, like the key. That Devon, I mean, just by pure serendipity, decided to give us a live demonstration of keys. So that's so perfect. And I see you're making hamsas now, and
Mhm.
the bird and the star and the seashell, the
There's so much,
mezuzah.
such a wealth of things you could draw that you just have to take your pick.
We have a
Yeah,
question from, oh, go ahead, Devin.
I was just gonna say, I I just found such beautiful old, um, also antiques. So like the mezuzah, some that they would call lucky, or they would call it, you know, I don't know, they would just attach stories to them. And I really started going down these rabbit holes of reading about these, beautiful mezuzahs and rings and all kinds of gorgeous, um, I don't even know what they're, just everyday items from your heritage, I guess, Ruth, right?
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you said this because I've always loved the mezuzah as a symbol. And it also has to do with luck, with luck and protection and, guarding those inside the house with a talisman or an amulet. And I've always thought it was just such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful symbol. And there's, like you said, there's so many different ways to create a mezuzah, which is really the
Mhm.
case, and inside there's that little Torah portion inside the mezuzah case. But it's just such a beautiful symbol. The idea of kind of marking a house and protecting a house as well, and those inside it. So yeah, I just imagined, Tia Fortuna would take her mezuzah from Cuba with her. That would be one of the things that she could carry with her. It's not a big thing, but it's an important symbol, and bring it to Miami. And then she's leaving her lovely house at the Seaway, her casita. And it's like she's being rushed, by Estrella's mom. And it's like, wait a minute, I got to take this mezuzah, but the mezuzah doesn't want to leave. And so she has
It's
to
that open
speak.
air.
She has to speak to the mezuzah, which I like. She has to ask the mezuzah for permission to take it to the next house. So that was a fun moment when I was writing.
Yeah,
We
it's
have
like
a,
the salt water and the humidity and everything. It's what didn't want to budge.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we have time for maybe one more question or two more. If you have any questions, please feel free to submit them now. But Joaquin asks, what was the most challenging aspect of distilling the story in such few words? What was your process in approaching this picture book format? Congratulations to you both for such a beautiful book.
Thank you, Joaquin. That's such a nice question. Well, I have to admit it was a very long process. And I started writing in 2017, this book. So more than 4 years ago, I started, and it just came together somehow. There were a lot of things I was thinking about at the time. I spent a lot of time in Miami, and particularly in Surfside, and I was seeing how things were changing in that area. A lot of these really lovely, modest little cottages on the beach. I saw them being torn down, and luxury hotels and buildings, being placed there in those spaces. And I kind of felt sad for those changes that were happening. So that was like part of my process, was how was I going to somehow document that. And then I started thinking, well, what if one of my aunts, a particular aunt that I do have in Miami, what if one of my aunts lived there, and had to give up, her little casita on the beach. So it kind of started that way. And what took some time was really figuring out the point of view of the girl, of Estrella, because I kind of had Tia Fortuna figured out from very early on. But then it was like, what's Estrella doing in this story? What is she feeling, and what is she thinking? And that's where I was revising a lot to really get her voice and her point of view. And the story went through many, many, many versions. At first, Tia Fortuna was just someone who visits the home and brings borrecas to the people who lives there. And then as it continued to develop, I thought, no, she's going to be going there herself. And so it's just you just keep writing, and for me, it's like you just keep going, kind of the way Devin is drawing here, where you just keep going and going, and you're not sure it's going to work, but you just keep writing and rewriting, and working on every word, and just trying to make the story feel as vivid as possible. So don't think I answered your question very well, except to say that it was a long process, and I had to be really patient with myself, because I did give up a couple of times, and thought maybe this isn't going to happen. But then I would just let it sit, and I'd come back to it, a week or two later, and try it again. And I did show it to various friends who gave me really great comments. And yeah, and it just kept unfolding. So you just have to be very patient with yourself, and eventually the story itself will show you where it needs to go.
I think you answered the question marvelously.
Yeah.
I
Let me
go
switch
go ahead,
back
Devin.
to maybe just to since I'm done with this, let's switch back to so we can see Ruth again, and for the last question, maybe. Does that
Yeah,
sound fine?
absolutely. I
And let
will
me.
take the spotlight off and go back to gallery. Um, and yeah, I guess I'll just finish with one question for both of you, because we may have young people watching right now and in the future, and so kind of the same question, but in different formats for both of you. For Ruth, you're a cultural anthropologist, and I'm wondering if you can explain to younger viewers what that means, what you do in that work, and how that work also informs your creative pursuits and projects. And then for Devin, as an illustrator, what tips would you give to young people who might want to pursue art and illustration and creative work like that as something they might want to do as they grow up and as their profession, perhaps in their life?
All right. Well, that's a big question.
Sorry.
Well, all I could say is Tia Fortuna is anthropology for kids, but maybe also for grown-ups. I'm hoping that everybody can enjoy it. And what I do as a cultural anthropologist is mostly listen to other people's stories in different parts of the world where I've lived, in Spain and Mexico and Cuba, that I go back to often, and many other places that I've been to. And I'm a listener, and I've always been a listener since I was a child. I much prefer to be listening to other people's stories than to be telling my own, because I'm just always inspired by what other people want to share with me. So I'm a cultural anthropologist because I'm a listener, but I'm also really interested in heritage and culture and folklore. What is it that people hold on to the way their ancestors lived, and how does that get passed on, to younger people, to the next generation? So I'm really fascinated by that topic, and all of that is inspired by my cultural anthropology, and I'm interested in how people of different cultures, different backgrounds, how we can all interconnect with one another and be in conversation with one another.
That's lovely. From the illustrator side, I would just say that for anyone who's interested in working in illustration maybe someday, or just wanting to do or bring more art into their life or do more drawing, just because it's a fun thing to do or something to do with your friends, which my kids do. They like to do all kinds of funny things together. And that's really the heart of it, is that it should be fun. And when you're having fun, you're making your best work. And if you're not having fun, then you have to find another way to enjoy yourself, because you can tell, I think, when someone's really enjoying what they're doing. So, and the other thing is that just make a lot of stuff. make a lot of things, not just drawing, but get some clay, get some, some things to sculpt, to build some stuff with sticks. You can do all kinds of things that are creative. And they start to blend into each other. They start to inspire other ideas. And these things can also creep into science or creep into other topics that can also give you ideas. And so I would just say is just to make a lot of things, draw a lot, make plenty of mistakes that, aren't actually mistakes. Nobody has to see them except for you. You can just put them away or dump them. It really doesn't matter if you don't like it. You can always start over, and you always have an eraser. So yeah, just make it fun and enjoy yourself. Yeah.
Thank you both. I hope all of our viewers and viewers in the future now return to the perhaps snowbound, very cold days with a lot of inspiration and excitement to listen to the stories of those around them, and inspired to also make creative work and follow those passions of fun. And we can't thank you both enough for sharing this really, really beautiful picture book with us in virtual space today at our virtual bookstore. You can purchase the book at our website. I've dropped a link in the chat. There's also a link in the description below if you're watching on YouTube. For our Ann Arbor friends, if you go to the bookstore soon, we do have signed copies, but we also have our display copies currently have a special gift that's related to the book itself that Ruth is so generous to provide. So be on the lookout for that. But certainly you can purchase the book wherever you live in the United States through our website. Ruth Behar, Devin Hallsworth, thank you so much for joining us at Home with Literati this evening, and in Devin's case in Germany. Hope to have you in Ann Arbor in person for your next projects. But until then, we hope you continue to be safe and be well. And to all of our viewers, we look forward to seeing you at the next event.
Thank you so much, John. This has been wonderful. Thank you, Devin. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. This was great.
Thank you both. Take care.